You're watching the Real Football Network. I'm John Pollard, and this is Real Football Analytics. Today we want to talk about quarterback play. Specifically, we want to talk to you about some charts and graphs that we reference every single week when we evaluate quarterback play throughout the entire league. Now, in past pieces, we've shared with you a passing chart, which shows the pass direction and pass depth for all passes for quarterbacks in the NFL. Today we want to talk specifically about a launch point chart. And what this chart does is identify where each quarterback is behind the line of scrimmage when they either run or pass the ball. We have 4 specific quarterbacks we want to talk about today that have varying types of styles of play. Earlier this week, we talked about Russell Wilson. We shared with you his launch point chart in our advanced scouting library, so check that out. Let's go to the new charts and let's look at 4 quarterbacks and how they play behind the line of scrimmage and guiding their team's offenses. So the first chart we're looking at is the launch point chart of Tom Brady, the quarterback for the New England Patriots, through the first 9 weeks of the season. Before we get into the specific numbers, let's take a look at the columns themselves. As you can see, we have a middle column which represents all drop back passes or passes in the middle of the pocket. We have scramble left and scramble right. Let's explain that. Scrambles are when the quarterback, in this case Tom, is flushed artificially from his intended launch point. This is defensive pressure moving him from his center pocket location or desired location. And then on the far left and right hand sides, we have rollout or bootlegs. These are plays where the team themselves have actually created a planned or called play that moves the quarterback out of the pocket. As you can see, this is a map that represents the prototypical pocket passer, which Tom Brady is. And there's only been one actual planned bootleg right called all season for the New England Patriots. Again, not a total surprise. Let's move down to some of the rows that we're looking at here. First off, in terms of successful play. Successful play is the second row that we're looking at. To remind all of our listeners, the successful play is defined as, let's take a 1st and 10 situation. The team gets 4+ yards on first down. On second down, where it's actually 2nd and 6, they have to get 50% of the remaining yards. On third down, it's a conversion or a score. And as you can see here, the primary amount of successful plays for Tom Brady comes where he has the most frequency, in the middle of the pocket. Again, not totally surprising. If you look down on the completion percentage, you can see here that when Tom is flushed left or right, his completion percentage, as you might expect, goes down fairly significantly. These are things that defensive coaches like to take a look at. Not only how effective a quarterback is when he's in the pocket or when he's moved from his launch point, but what side does he tend to favor? What side is he more accurate? Let's roll down to the bottom of the chart and let's look at the rushes area. This is actually a time where a quarterback is flush from the pocket or has a rushing attempt. As you can see, Tom Brady has 11 rushes in the middle, and the primary number of those rushes have been those quarterback sneaks that we've all seen where he just stretches out and gains that yard and a half for the first down of the score. As you can see here, Tom rarely rushes when he has pressure. He doesn't move forward in the pocket. He tends to either take the sack or throw the ball out of bounds. Let's move to the next quarterback, which is Carson Palmer. So here we are looking at Carson Palmer's launch point chart for the first 9 weeks of the season. Similar to Tom Brady, as you might expect, Carson is a middle pocket passer. He's not the most mobile guy. He's on in years, but he's a very effective passer when he has a clean pocket and he's standing at his intended launch point. Let's take a look at a couple of numbers that stood out to me as I looked at Carson's launch point chart. First off, if we move down to the attempt area, you'll notice that when he's flushed, if you look at the scramble right, he tends to be moving to his right more. He has 7 scrambles to his right when flushed versus to his left. And that may just make logical sense since Carson's a right-handed quarterback. If we move down to the completion percentage area, though, you can see that, interestingly enough, he is not very accurate when he's scrambling to his right. He only has completed 29% of his passes when he's flushed to his right-hand side. Again, we're not looking at a large, population of numbers, only 7 attempts when scrambled, but nevertheless, that's something that a defense would consider. If Carson's flushed, if he's throwing, don't expect him to throw with great accuracy. Another number that jumped right out to me when I looked at it is, you'll notice, differentiated than Tom, let's move to the bootleg column on the right-hand side. You'll notice that Carson, though a prototypical pocket passer, they've actually planned 5 rollouts to the right. These are situations that opponents of the Cardinals can look at specifically and go, when he rolls right, what's happening? There's 5 plays they can isolate and prepare for when they play the Arizona Cardinals. Let's move down to that same bootleg column and move down to the yards per attempt. 14.4 yards per attempt on 5 passes. Everybody, there it is right there. There's a diagnostic. When Carson Palmer is rolling to his right, he is looking to throw that intermediate range of 11 to 20 yards, and defenses can plan on this. Again, it's not that he would do it a lot, but when he moves to his right, those defensive backs have to be prepared. Those safeties have to be prepared that Carson's going to look downfield and try to hit a big play. Also, you'll notice in the bottom here, much like Tom Brady on the rushes side, Carson doesn't rush the ball very often. It might be a quarterback sneak. He doesn't, when he's flushed, he doesn't tend to rush at all, left or right. It looks like he just takes the ball and throws it away and prepares for the next down. So here we are looking at the launch point chart of Aaron Rodgers. Now, first thing that's going to pop out to all of us is that this is a chart that looks completely different from Tom Brady and Carson Palmer. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is a younger quarterback. He has great athleticism and mobility in the pocket. And the scheme that he runs under Mike McCarthy is designed to allow him to create using that athleticism. Let's take a look at the top chart. Look, in the middle pocket, he's had 235 middle pocket opportunities, but as you can see, a high number of scrambles right and left. Now, these are based on pressure, but the scheme that the Packers run allow him the flexibility to move from the pocket to create opportunities for himself, buy more time, and allow his receivers to get open. You know what's really interesting as we're looking at this chart, let's jump down to the completion percentage in the scramble left and scramble right columns. And the completion percentage, as you can see, when he scrambles right, out of the 21 pass attempts, he's only completed 7 for a 33% completion percentage. Aaron's a right-handed quarterback. That's pretty remarkable. If you look at the scramble left column, he's throwing against his body, 13 attempts. He's completed 9 passes for a 69% completion percentage. This is something here that an opposing defense has to prepare for. If Aaron's flushed, don't assume he's going to tuck the ball and run or take the sack. He's looking for opportunities. To further accentuate that point, let's drop down 2 rows and look at the yards per attempt. The yards per attempt when Aaron Rodgers is flushed to his left, 14.1 yards down the field. He is betting that the defense is going to believe when he's flushed that he may run, so they come up, and he's looking for opportunities to throw over the top and get a big play. Let's look at the scramble right column just real quick. He's only averaging 3.9 yards per pass when he's scrambling to the right. This is a really remarkable chart, and again, the information that the opposing defensive coordinator will look at and zone in on. One thing to keep in mind, when teams look at this information, they not only have the numbers and the charts, they have access to the game video. Typically, the systems that are implemented in these team environments now, they can go right from charts like this directly to the film, saving them lots of time. You can bet whoever's playing the Green Bay Packers is really wary when Aaron Rodgers is flushed to his left-hand side. In fact, they might even scheme to make sure that if they do put pressure on Aaron Rodgers, they move him to his right, which would be completely, the antithesis of what someone might expect for a right-handed quarterback. So now let's take a look at one more quarterback chart, the launch point chart for Russell Wilson. Now, much like Aaron Rodgers, quite similar, you see that Russell Wilson being a mobile and athletic quarterback, also younger, he actually plays around the pocket, outside of the middle pocket. He likes to throw in the middle, but he is comfortable, and the scheme is designed to allow him some flexibility to move left and right. As you can see, he has 12 planned bootlegs right. He has a couple to his left as well, with 39 scrambles right and 18 scrambles left. Look at his effectiveness. So let's look at the successful play percentage. It's clear that at 51% successful play percentage in the middle pocket and 54% in the scramble right, Russell would prefer to be in the pocket or moving to his right where he has more success. That's also supported as you move down to the pass completion percentage. In the middle pocket, 72% when he's standing in a clean pocket in the middle pocket in his intended launch point. When he's scrambling right, it goes down to 54%, which is actually pretty healthy itself. You can see again, he is typically more productive moving to his right versus his left, which makes sense for a right-handed quarterback. Here's the thing though, when he is flushed, Russell Wilson will actually throw the ball 50% of the time when he's flushed to his left, 54% of the time when he's flushed to his right. Let's move down to his rushes. Interestingly enough, when he's pressured by the defense, Russell will run to his left or right 30% of the time to each side. What does this create? A ton of stress for the defense. You can't really predict what Russell's going to do. He may run, he may pass. Whether it's left or right, it doesn't matter. He is going to look to make plays downfield or with his legs, no matter what side he's going on. This is an incredible challenge for opposing defenses to compete against someone like Russell Wilson, and we've seen it time and time again through his entire career, particularly this season. He prolongs plays, he buys time for his receivers to create separation, and/or he just wears out the defense and makes positive yards upfield. He will tuck the ball and run. And as you can see here in his rushing yards, he has 110 yards running right up the middle. That's when the pressure comes from the outside and the middle is open. He takes off upfield. And then when he's scrambling to his right, he's very comfortable tucking the ball and running it downfield with 112 yards year to date. Well, there you have it. 4 launch point charts for some of the best quarterbacks in the league. Again, this is information and details that defensive coordinators around the league use every single week as they prepare to face these quarterbacks. Now, again, this information is used in much greater detail by professional coaches. They'll look at the film along with the numbers, of course, and they'll also break down these charts by down and distance, field location, and look at personnel and offensive formation, anything to identify potential tendencies as they prepare to play these teams. Now, again, this week we have the Arizona Cardinals going against Seattle. 2 of the quarterbacks we talked about today, Carson Palmer versus Russell Wilson, the prototypical pocket passer versus an athletic and mobile quarterback in Russell Wilson. It'll be an interesting matchup, and both those defenses, 2 of the tops in the league, will use information like this to prepare to play these offenses. For Real Football Analytics, I'm John Pollard.